Today, we're going to help you swim faster no matter what your goal distance is. 200 meters, 400 meters, 1500 meters, even 3.8 Ks for an Ironman. How do you improve your pace over any distance? Well, swimming is a technique-focused sport. If you improve your technique, you'll use less energy and go faster, which is the main focus of swim experts and swim clinics and even swim improvement videos like this. But if your swim is anything over 400 meters, it's as important, maybe more important, that you can sustain that technique as it is to actually improve that technique. It's all very well swimming a fast 100, but it doesn't really work if you can't sustain that for your full race distance. It's a bit like someone training to run a marathon by getting their 800-meter time as fast as possible. It may help a bit, but it kind of misses the main point of training. So how do you translate your faster 100-meter to any distance, even the 3,800 meters of an Ironman? As you go longer, you need to relax your breathing so you're completely in control of it. And when you swim in 100 meters or even 200 meters, you can afford to only meet 95 or even 90% of the oxygen demands and still get to the end. But as you swim longer, that deficit is going to accumulate, and pretty soon your pace will be unsustainable. Of course, the harder you work, the greater the oxygen demand, and therefore the less sustainable it is. So a big part of this is pacing. But a bigger part of it is how you breathe, which brings us to our first tip. Perfect your breathing pattern. Whether you breathe every second stroke or third stroke or even fourth stroke is individual and up to you, but it must match your oxygen demands. For most people, unless you have a very fast stroke, every second stroke is probably going to be best when racing or at race paces. For some with a faster stroke, or if you're swimming longer distances, you may be able to get away with every third stroke. But experiment and find what works best for you. If you're getting short of breath after 50 to 100 meters, it's probably not your fitness, it's probably your breathing, especially if you're able to cycle or run for hours at a time. An important point here, your best breathing pattern that provides all the oxygen you need might not be the most comfortable initially, but over time, you can get used to a new breathing pattern. You cannot get used to swimming without enough oxygen. Going hand in hand with breathing often enough is our second tip. Breathe without disrupting your stroke. Now, obviously, getting your face to the water while swimming is going to disrupt your stroke a little. Try swimming with a freestyle snorkel for a while and seeing how smooth and effortless your stroke is without having to get your face to the air to breathe. But if you can breathe efficiently with your head low, a quick breath, and rotating with your stroke, you'll be significantly more efficient and be able to sustain that swim pace for a lot longer. The next step of swimming faster over any distance is to develop a stroke that doesn't falter or fail as you get tired. Now, a big part of this is obviously fitness, so that you don't get tired so easily. But it's also practicing a stroke that is sustainable for your full distance. That stroke that works well for your 100-meter PB might not work so well for the 1.2 miles of your next 70.3. So, tip 3, practice a distance stroke. A distance swimmer's stroke is different from a sprinter's stroke, much like a distance runner's form is different from a sprinter's form. They don't have high knees and run on their toes. A distance swimmer's stroke will see you be more efficient and be able to sustain that stroke for longer over any distance. A distance swimmer's stroke requires 3 points: kick less, keep your body position optimal, and rotate more. Kicking drastically increases the energy demands and heart rate when swimming. For distance swimming, you want to kick only enough to keep your body position and reduce drag. This should be a small flutter kick in time with your rotation. Now, while your kick should help maintain your body position, it shouldn't be fully responsible for it. Engaging your core, lowering your head, and extending your neck all help you stay in a balanced, level body position. And your rotation. For a fast 100-meter, you can get away with less rotation and rely on the power in your arms to simply pull you through. But as you go longer, you need to rotate more efficiently to keep a powerful, sustainable stroke that relies on larger muscles like your lats and back muscles, rather than the smaller shoulder muscles. Of course, perfecting distance stroke is about more than just knowing what it looks like and being able to swim a length like that. You need to be able to sustain it for your full race distance. Unfortunately, unlike running, where you can just run the distance and then run it again and run it again until you've perfected it, With swimming, you really need to build up to that distance, which is our next tip. Tip 4, build up to the challenge. While you're trying to perfect that distance stroke, you want to hold that stroke for the full distance. While it may feel like you're simulating the race by swimming the full distance, if you're swimming the second half with a bad, fallen apart stroke, you're basically throwing away the first 3 tips we've given you here. So while you are building up, start with shorter intervals and shorter blocks. Something like 20 by 50 meters with 10-second rest will do more good than swimming 1,000 meters non-stop. Even if you feel more tired after 1,000 meters non-stop and it feels like it simulates your race more, you're actually better off swimming those smaller blocks and keeping your form good throughout the whole swim session. Tip 5, practice your race pace. Now, by definition, if you want to swim your fastest on race day, then that is a pace you can only sustain once for that distance on a good day when tapered. You can't expect to do that every week, every day in training, and you don't want to because you don't want to destroy yourself. But you do want to practice your race pace. So if you're swimming your race distance every day, you're literally practicing a slower pace than you're going to swim on race day. Rather, do something called broken intervals, where you take your race distance, or even a shorter distance than your race distance, and you break it up into manageable segments where you can sustain your actual race pace for the whole duration. Something like breaking up a 1,500 meter into 5 by 300 meter with a decent rest in between. And then as you get closer to your race, you can bring the rest in between those 300s down so that you have a shorter rest and you can still sustain that pace for the 1,500 meters. And the intervals also don't have to be even. For example, you could do a broken 600 as a 50 meter, a 100 meter, a 150 meter, and a 300 meter with all of those reps at your race pace. And our final tip to swim faster over any distance is to pace your race. The best way to pace any race is with even splits, not starting too fast or slowing down too much near the end. And now this can be all pretty easy when you're in a swimming pool and you can judge your pace quite well, but it can be much more difficult when you're in the open water and are surrounded by other people. Unfortunately, unlike running where you can constantly look at your watch to judge your pace, you don't really get that feedback in swimming and you have to subjectively judge this. Now, counter to our previous point where we said swim at your race pace, the best way to actually get around this is to learn what getting it wrong feels like. So swim slower than your race pace and also swim sometimes faster than your race pace. Literally going too hard and allowing yourself to feel what it feels like to blow up and not be able to sustain that pace. That way, when race day comes, you'll be able to judge whether you are risking it all by swimming a little bit too hard subjectively within yourself. We hope our tips today have helped you swim faster over your next race distance, whatever it is, whether it's a triathlon or an open water swim race. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our other swim videos. Thanks for watching.